Today we're taking a look at a wandering hour watch from Atowak. I actually featured one of their watches here on my channel. That was the Cobra. That was about a year ago. It had a wandering hour complication, a really interesting case, and quick release on the bracelet and the strap. Today we're taking a look at a watch that's a little bit different from that watch. It gets a more traditional case shape. It also gets a running seconds. So this is essentially the same movement with that same module, however, in a different look. And I have to say, this is a very, very cool watch. I'm very excited to show it to you guys. So let's flip the camera and take a look at the new Tarantula from Atowak. This is yet another wandering hour watch that comes from Atowak. This is called the Tarantula, and it's a little bit different from the Cobra that they recently came out with around a year ago or 2 years ago. They came out with a watch, I think it was a year ago, that was called the Cobra. I actually have that watch on my wrist. It looks a lot like a Your Work for around $2,000. It has almost the exact same mechanism, which is a satellite wandering hour that has the flipping hours. So when you pull out the crown and actually set the time, you're going to see where it would have been 12 o'clock. Traditionally, the blocks that actually tell the hour flip. Each one of those blocks has a point. That point points to a little disc or half a disc at the bottom of the dial that lets you know the minutes. So essentially, when you turn this, you are setting the time right there, 7:30. Very, very easy to read as well. This actually does hack. You get a Miyota movement inside. It's a 9000 series with obviously a module that they create. It's an in-house module that they put on top. You also get running seconds on this one. So the Cobra did not have running seconds, but there are a lot of differences between this watch and that Cobra. I'll put them side by side in just a few seconds. But the structure of this wheel in the middle, for lack of a better term, is a little bit different. It also has a little bit of a different pattern. The dial has a different pattern, sort of a honeycomb. I guess you could call it a dial because there is sort of a structure behind that structure, and it has a honeycomb pattern. Then you have this sort of veil or shroud that goes around the top of the dial. Not really useful, however, more decorative, and it looks really good. It's also signed the brand name, the brand logo, and then of course the name of the watch right there. At the bottom of the dial, you have a track. It's sort of a double track. It's a minute track. That's essentially what that is. But I think it all works harmoniously together really, really well. Now, the case is probably the biggest difference between this watch and the Cobra. Also, the crown is at 3 o'clock, which is also different. This is a barrel case. You also have a dome sapphire crystal. This barrel case is held together by screws. So these are actual functional screws. And when I turn it on its side, you can see it's a very sort of, I would say, futuristic 70s inspired case. You have a very large crown on here, really nice rubber strap with perforation. There's brushing, polishing. You have a very fine line of polish right down the middle of the case. It goes onto the other side as well. Really nicely finished, actually. This is definitely a premium product. Now, that Cobra that I featured on my channel, and I'm going to show you in just a few seconds, had a quick release system for the strap that I was very impressed with. This also gets its own quick release system. So they didn't actually reuse that quick release system. They made one specifically for this watch, and it actually works really, really well. Very, very easy. Very similar to what I get on my Vacheron and my Cartier. So that is saying a lot. Obviously, they probably just copied it, but it works beautifully. And obviously, a lot of people compare these watches to Your Work. Your Work obviously make really, really high-end watches, but a lot of their watches are satellite watches, wandering hour watches, and they made these watches pretty affordable. Both of these watches that I'm about to show you are under $2,000, and I think they're both available. This one is actually well under $2,000 right now. If you pre-order it, we'll get back to that in just a few seconds. So I'm going to do measurements very quickly. I'm going to throw it on my wrist. We'll also do a lume shot because I believe this gets lume. I have no idea if it is good because I have not been able to check it out, but the case on here is 41 and change. So it's around a 41 millimeter watch. The crown is very large. It is thin, but large and very grippy, 8.3 millimeters. So very, very nice. And then 13.7 millimeters thick. You do get a display case back with a sapphire crystal. I'll show you that in just a few seconds as well. The lug to lug on here is 48.9 and it wears like a 48.9 millimeter lug to lug because it's a barrel case and the strap does fold down almost perfectly. You have a big double push button clasp on here, sign Atowak. It is really, really robust. Very nice, very, very nice clicks. Also, the movement gets a custom rotor, much like the Cobra, but they went a step further with this. It's a little bit skeletonized. It sort of looks like something you would get from MB&F, and it's obviously sitting on top of that Miyota 9000 series that is customized. So really, really nice work that they've done on this watch. 50 meters of water resistance. You have a little spider on the case back. Just really cool. It's a tarantula, obviously, which is what the inspiration is for this watch. I think this is a really good looking watch, especially considering the price. So we're going to talk about price. The MSRP on this will eventually be around $2,200. However, right now they are offering a discount if you sign up to pre-order. I believe they're giving around 20% off. However, I believe it could be more than that. If you put $50 down to pre-order, you sort of reserve your spot and then you get a discount. So this, I think, comes out to around $1,700, somewhere in that neighborhood. That is a really good price for what is a very complicated watch, and I have to say, a very nicely made watch as well. The sapphire crystal on here is domed. You have a really beautifully finished case. There is brushing, polishing, a really fine edge of polish that goes through the side of the case with that brushing. It looks phenomenal. They really did a very good job. Very quickly, obviously, I'll show you the Cobra on my wrist. So here is the Cobra. This does not get a running second. So what they did add on this watch on the Tarantula is a running seconds, which I really like. Bit different from this watch. Obviously, this was more inspired by, well, this is the Cobra, so the Cobra snake. So this looks like a Cobra's head, I would imagine, is what they were going for. But it works very similar. So the mechanism itself is almost exactly the same, except you do get that running seconds. This comes with a bracelet. I believe the Tarantula comes with 2 straps rather than a bracelet. This also got a custom rotor, but you can't see the movement as much. And it also has quick release, which is a little bit more fiddly, but really, really nice as well. And the crown is at the 3 o'clock. You have 2 sapphire crystals. Just an overall really weird watch. While the Tarantula looks a little bit more, I guess, traditional. However, I would not call this a traditional watch at all. In my opinion, I think this is sort of a very out of the ordinary watch, you know, considering the way it looks and how it functions. But there it is on my 7.5-inch wrist. It's a 41 millimeter watch, and I think it wears really comfortably because of the case, and overall a very good looking watch. I actually wore this for a few days immediately when I got it in for review, and I'm very excited to bring it to you guys because I really love a wandering hour complication, and obviously these have become affordable now, or somewhat affordable depending on how you look at it, but for what you're getting, I think the price that these are selling for is pretty damn good. Very quickly, a Lume shot. There you go. Lume actually really good on here. That track at the bottom is completely lumed. Then you have little dots that go around the dial. Really not useful, but it looks good. So I'm happy about it. And then you could see the center of the actual wheel of that wandering hour complication. That wheel is lumed. So that's awesome as well. And then obviously all of the numbers are lume, so you will be able to see the time in the dark, except for the ones that are actually facing the dial. When they flip over, obviously, if they are not exposed to light, they will not glow. So that's something that affects all wandering hours, not just this one. Just something to keep in mind if you are worried about that sort of thing. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of this watch? What do you think of Atowak and what they are doing? Every time they come out with a watch, it's a little bit further. They're pushing a little bit harder on these watches, coming out with something a little bit crazier, a little bit more wild, and more complicated, which is impressive. And overall, I am impressed. This is really, really great for the price that you're paying. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It's super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. I will catch you in the next video.